You've probably spent a few evenings scrolling through endless grill options, worrying that the next one you buy might end up gathering dust in the garage because it just isn't right for the way you cook. I get that you want something that actually fits your backyard, your fuel setup, and the kinds of meals you love to throw on the grill, without throwing away a month's paycheck on a machine that misses the mark. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The Napoleon Rogue 525 is a natural gas, 4-burner grill that throws a range side burner into the mix. At first glance it feels like a step up from the basic backyard units, but the real question is whether those extra burners and the extra metal actually translate into a better cooking experience for you, or if you're just paying for features you'll never use. Let's start with the kind of cook who will actually benefit from this rig. If you're the type who grills a steak on one burner, roasts a whole chicken on another, and likes to keep a pot of sauce simmering nearby, the separate range side burner is a genuine convenience. It lets you keep a sauce or side dish warm without pulling a pot off the main cooking surface, which is something I've seen people struggle with on smaller grills. Either they have to move the pot around or risk overcooking it while the meat finishes. The Rogue side burner runs off the same natural gas line, so you don't need an extra fuel source, and the control knob feels distinct enough that you can dial it down to a low simmer without affecting the main burners. If you're a weekend grill master who likes to experiment with different heat zones, the 4 main burners give you that flexibility. You can crank 2 burners to high for a quick sear, keep the other 2 at medium for finishing, and still have the side burner for a garnish. The precise heat control that Napoleon advertises isn't just a marketing phrase. The knobs have a tactile click that makes it easy to remember where medium-high sits after a few uses. In practice, that means you can reliably hold a temperature around 350 F for a classic indirect heat chicken, without constantly tweaking the knobs. For many casual grillers, that level of control can feel like a safety net, especially when you're trying to avoid the dreaded burnt outside, raw inside scenario. Now, who should probably walk away? If you live in an apartment with only a small balcony, the Rogue's footprint about 53 inches wide might dominate your space. It also requires a natural gas line, which is great if your house already has a connection, but if you're limited to propane tanks, you'll either have to run a new line or stick with a propane-only model. That installation step can add a few $100s and a bit of DIY hassle. Also, if your grilling routine is basically fire it up, toss a few burgers, and call it a night, the extra burners and the cast-iron grates may feel like overkill. You could get a solid 2-burner propane grill for a fraction of the price and still meet those basic needs. Speaking of the cast-iron cooking grates, they're a notable strength. Cast iron retains heat superbly, so once the grill is hot, it stays hot, which translates into that coveted restaurant-style sear on a steak. In real-world use, you'll notice that after the initial heat-up, you don't have to keep the burners at full blast to maintain a searing temperature. You can back them off a little and the grates hold the heat. The downside is that cast iron requires a bit more maintenance than stainless steel grates. You'll need to season them occasionally to prevent rust if you live in a humid climate or if you're quick to rinse the grill after use. The Rogue stainless steel outer finish is designed to resist the elements, and most owners report that the paint doesn't flake after a season of exposure, but the underlying cast iron does still need that periodic oiling. Durability is another area where Napoleon tries to earn its premium. The frame and burners are coated with a powder finish that, according to the specs, resists scratches and corrosion. In practice, that means you can leave the grill out year-round without worrying that a stray rainstorm will turn the side panels into rust spots. However, the grill's weight just under 200 lb makes it a bit of a chore to move. If you enjoy repositioning your grill for the sun or want to store it away during winter, you'll need a sturdy set of wheels and possibly a second pair of hands. That's not a flaw per se, but it's a practical consideration that can affect your overall satisfaction. One hidden trade-off is the lack of built-in accessories. Some competing models throw in a rotisserie kit, a side shelf, or even a built-in thermometer. The Rogue 525 keeps things fairly minimal. You get the burners and the side burner, but no integrated storage for tools or a dedicated warming rack. If you're used to having a shelf